Happy Friday. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I am Deanna. Cheers, my dears. It is Friday. It is great to see you. Do you know where I am? Do you know where I am tonight? It's a different place, as you can tell. I'm at my mom's, and the party is raging downstairs. I'm in the bed. I'm in the bed, but I'm in the bed with a pin on. So certainly there is a level of class here, right? I'm in the bed with my spiked eggnog, Santa pants, a tank top with a pin on it. Hey, it's Friday night, right? It's our night, Friday night. I've got you on my lap on the computer. Everything is going to work fine. I am just so tucked in and crazy, comfy right now that it's stupid. So no, nothing interesting to see behind me tonight, except maybe a puppet show or a shadow show. You see how that's working with the light? I've got the lights set up in front of me. Happy Friday. Good to see you. I'm having an eggnog tonight, and it is spiked. It is the first one, and I have been duly warned that it is a legendary, epic, right? So we'll see what happens. I hope you are having a great night. Happy Friday. If you are about to celebrate the Christmas holiday, um, I was going to say good luck, not sarcastically. I was just out there at Marshall's and TJ Maxx braving it, looking for some little bits and bobs, like little slippers. Teddy suddenly asked for a robe, right? He's a big 11-year-old man now, and he needs a robe like Sherlock Holmes or something. So I was out there doing that with my sister. It was so much fun. It's going to be a wild weekend, I think. And I don't know about you, but we have been hit with crazy weather, hail, wind. Kirsten, I'll have to see if Kirsten's on, was getting blasted with snow and outages, power outages. It's a lot in a lot of places. I hope that you are doing well. If you are logged on, it means you're. If you are logged on live, it means you are doing sort of well, right? Cheers, my dears. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what they mean. All right, let's see what buddies are here. Tonight is, please. Okay, I'm getting a little bit worried. Okay, wait a minute. I can see I've had an update as a surprise. So I'm getting a little bit worried because I don't see the things I normally see. We will be fine for what we do. I just want to be sure that I can see your comments. Let's see. Please let me know if anything is amiss. Um, or going back to Sherlock Holmes, afoot. Let me know if anything crazy is afoot. Paula, unable to get on via YouTube. I just see a beautiful hook drug and no sound. Maybe you were on a little bit early. I'd logged on the hour, so maybe it's there now. Um, no, all good. Oh, there. Well, I'm so happy. It's not. It doesn't matter, right? It's so nice that there's good news and that it's a happy ending in the end. That's the only thing that matters. Paula, I'm very happy that you're there. Happy Friday night. Anita, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, on this snowy evening, cold and windy. Oh, dear, Robin, freezing in Wisconsin. I knew that was coming. Oh, those are some seriously abominable snowman kind of faces, freezing, chattering their teeth out, right? Ryan, great to see you. Happy Christmas Eve, Eve. We've been saying that all day too. How funny. From freezing North Texas, working on your first hook drug piece, only using what I've gotten in the advent calendar. Well, that was one of your goals, wasn't it? You were really keen to see if it was possible to do that. So let me know how it goes. I'll be really anxious to see that and all your other stuff, of course. I'm hoping that I don't shake you up and make you seasick tonight because I have you on a cardboard box with a gift inside of it. So I'm trying not to bump you too much. Linda, happy Friday. And in this part of the world, happy Christmas Eve, Eve. Cheers, my dears, to you. Happy Friday. Beverly, good to see you. Happy holidays. Stay warm, everybody. You know, it was crazy here in Connecticut today. It was in the 50s. And tonight we're dropping about 40 degrees overnight. You know, it can happen, but must it happen? I mean, it's 40 degrees overnight is quite shocking, isn't it? And I'm already doing my crazy, and I know what it is. I know it's the big M. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, all night long. It's just unbelievable. Andrea, great to see you. Andrea, did you see I used your piece for the thumbnail tonight? It is so beautiful. I'm so excited to show that. It is gallery night. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm not usually in bed. I'm usually in the studio, but it's a funny weekend, isn't it? So we will be looking at the work of each other, right? The spectacular work that all of us do, right? I'm not showing my pieces tonight. I'm showing your piece. My pieces are not all that spectacular, but yours are. So I'm looking forward to looking at them all together. And I wanted to, at the end of the show, go back to the end of At the Magazine because I missed doing this nice article on Mr. Christmas that Colleen Tiefenthal wrote. So I want to hit that at the end of the evening because that fits in well with our theme too. Andrea, it's great to see you. Everyone drinking a can of spiced rum and ginger ale. See, Andrea, you are in the place to get the fantastic seasonal Pims. We don't always get that here. We get like regular Pims if we're lucky, but we don't get those like special seasonal ones. That's one of the things I miss the most about living in London. Just the incredible atmosphere, both in the city and in the villages, and all of those nice drinks and liquors, and all of those nice holiday things that come around, all of the great shows. Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun. Kaz, great to see you. Mine is 17 and windy in Wisconsin. That is 2 degrees, -7 Celsius. That's cold. That's cold. We're still at about 45. I'm ashamed to say that when you're all suffering the way that you are. It's cold. It's a creeping in, huh? Happy holidays to you too. Karen, good to see you in the Christmas spirit in Black Forest, Colorado. My son arrived 2 days early because of weather concerns. I think that's a good call, right? Anything could happen at this point. Christmas cookies were baked this morning. Perfect, on schedule. Here too, I missed I missed the baking of the Christmas cookies. My sister was here doing it with my mother. I mean, normally we do like hundreds of them. So for this one year to be missing that one ritual, I'm not gonna cry myself to sleep. I am gonna eat the cookies for sure. So much fun. All of these sort of renewed traditions that we have, right? I want to say something else about that. I just want to say good evening, Priscilla. Happy Friday. Great to see you in freezing Ohio. Candace, good to see you. Good evening. As Ryan said, we're enjoying some freezing temps. And now, are you really enjoying them in North Texas? Is it like festive and you're feeling all of that? Because I'm feeling like, where's the dang snow? We've got hail and we've got biblical rain. I wouldn't mind having just a little bit of snow, you know. Linda says, happy cocktail night in Massachusetts. Happy cocktail night, Linda. Barbara, happy Friday. It's a weather day in Toronto. Oh, I will bet. Juliet, great to see you. Great new piece. You work like a demon. I mean, you work so fast that it is crazy. I didn't get a chance to do the thing. We were out right up until the minute. And Merry Christmas to you in Maryland. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. We are going to celebrate other holidays and talk about other holidays too. Um, I care about everybody's holidays, of course. We celebrate Christmas here, but we love to celebrate everything. We really do. Sonia, great to see you in St. Francisville, Louisiana. It's good to see you. Sharon, great to see you too in icy and cold Vancouver. Brrr, Dave, there you are. Holiday greetings from Detroit, Michigan. Oh, are you in Michigan? Oh, how nice. Eating our way through the holidays, molasses cookies and shortbread, Bailey's Irish cream liquor. I noticed Bailey's comes in. I noticed Bailey's comes in lots of different seasonal flavors. I wish that I would have gotten the pumpkin one, um, but now that I haven't, I feel like maybe it's too late this year. We'll have to see how it goes. I do love it when they offer different kinds of things for different seasons. It does make everything a little bit more exciting, you know. Not just alcohol, I mean all the different foods and all of that stuff. Jay, good to see you. Happy cocktail night. Can't wait to see. They are going to be super great rugs. They were beautiful offerings tonight. And a huge shout out and thank you to Jane in Wales for helping, for sending me the document that got this whole thing into place. I really appreciate it. I really need the help. Joy, great to see you. Thank you for your card. I'm sending so much love your way. And I mirror your thoughts for both of us. 51 going into 2023. It's a lot. It's a lot, isn't it? I'm trying to feel festive, and it's sometimes it's hard to turn it on and off, isn't it? Sometimes it's hard to turn it on, is what I mean. You can see and hear me. Great. Sharon, all good here. Okay, great. Chrissy, thanks again for that popcorn. I ate an entire bag in one sitting, which is extraordinary. Which is one of the reasons why my sweater wasn't fitting, and I'm just sitting here in a tank top like a sloth. And great to see you. Snow on the ground for Christmas. You are a lucky duck. I'm jealous of that, truly. I would love to have some snow on the ground. Get the kids out there with the sleds a little bit, you know. Linda, great to see you. I hope the power doesn't go out in the next couple of hours. Me too. We'll see how it goes. All recorded. I know ours won't, so you can always watch it later. I hope yours doesn't. There's bigger problems, obviously than the show when the power goes out. It's such a nightmare, isn't it? It is such a nightmare. Um, oh, you got choked up when you saw the thumbnail. Oh, I'm so glad. It's good to be emotional, isn't it? Particularly at this time of year. I have been so crazy and emotional lately. I'm telling you, it's like any little thing just sets me off. It's just insane. It's insane. But sometimes it feels good. Good emotion. Emotion when it's coming from a good place is really positive, isn't it? It's just when, for me, when I'm frenetic and crazy and depressed, that's not as good. But yeah, I'm getting all choked up left and right too. I know that feeling. Oh, is it 8 degrees, Linda? That's crazy. I'm checking out all your temperatures here. I can't believe how different it is from region to region. Not even that far apart, right? Kay, great to see you. Merry Christmas from Klamath Falls, Oregon. Oh, that sounds super fun, super festive. SF Stark, happy holidays to you. I'm so happy you're there. Happy Friday. Oh, your son works at GM in Michigan. Oh, you're telling Dave. Oh, interesting. Jane, thank you, Kaz. Jane is so good. She always helps out with so much stuff like this. Bouncing around a little bit. Let me have one more sip and then we're going to get going. Mm, feeling very festive in Texas. I'm feeling a bit festive too. I took a little sort of impromptu road trip yesterday. I can't tell you what I was doing because I don't know if my mom's going to watch the show before Christmas. But I took a little road trip, and I'll tell you about it later, to get something very particular. And I drove into Rhode Island, which is the state that I grew up in. I was born in the Netherlands, but we grew up in Rhode Island, and I miss it so much. And I particularly miss it since my dad's been gone for so long and my aunt's been gone for so long. We don't go there for Christmas any year. So I took a road trip and made a few stops and stopped in Providence and saw the old arcade shopping building and did some stuff. And I was super choked out. Um, to make it like even crazier, I drove by the house where I grew up, which for me is always like a who. I mean, it was bad. It was bad, but it felt great to see the house. And just driving by drew attention, and somebody came outside, which was a bit alarming. I just wanted to see if like the porch was still there and the skylight that like my dad put in was still. Everything was so nice, but driving through all of those little towns, Warren, Bristol, Barrington, all of the decorations up on the main streets, it was just so emotional and beautiful. And it just reminded me of the idea that whether you celebrate Christmas or not, whatever you believe in and whatever you celebrate, I love the fact that the year gives us these speed bumps, right? And that holidays, seasons, right? Depending on where you live, some are more pronounced than others, different places. But I just what I love about the holidays, I think the most, is that it is a time that we publicly share traditions, right? Because when it's your birthday or my birthday, it's like happy birthday, but we don't like publicly celebrate. And for holidays like the winter holidays and Thanksgivings in our respective countries, we celebrate together. And that's the thing that really gets me in the heart because it's like all of these centuries of belief, of tradition, of your traditions, of my traditions, layering all of our stuff up like a little totem pole. Every year it's a little bit different. Last night I went with my sister to the Goodspeed Opera House on the Connecticut River in East Haddam, Connecticut, and we saw the musical Christmas in Connecticut, which was fantastic. Not as good as the movie, but fantastic. And right before we did the theater, we stopped at a neighboring town called Chester. And we stopped at a pretty crappy sports pub, but it was decorated so beautifully and the food was wonderful. And they had a nice menu of Christmas cocktails. And we said, this is going to be a new tradition for us. Eating at this place in Chester, shopping a little bit on this lovely main street, so well decorated, and then going over to the Goodspeed Opera House for whatever show they would have that would be a seasonal show in December, regardless of what it is. And I just thought, there's us again adding a new tradition to like our family story, right? And all of our stories put together make such a big moment in the year to celebrate together. That's the thing that gets me excited. I love the religion part. I love the gifts part. I love the shopping part. But the part that I really love is that we share this time of the year and we all do our different things and you get hints and photos and ideas of what other people are doing. And it's just so special. It's another year of celebration that we add to our history, right? To all of our histories. It's exciting. It's exciting. Paula says, Southern California, beautiful and mild, 60 degrees. Merry Christmas to you too. That sounds really nice tonight. So let's start our gallery night. I'm sure that we'll take little breaks and talk about some other stuff, and I want to keep track of all of your comments in the margin there because I want to know what you're all talking about, what you're all doing. Candace said, I am, except for keeping our toilets from freezing. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? The pipes and all that. It's like you're laughing, but it's so awful when the pipes freeze. That is really so serious. I'm going to put this light on too and see if it helps. Let's see. I don't know if that helps. That's maybe a weird glow. We'll see. Let me know if that's annoying. It helps me a hair, but I can turn it off. So, December cocktail night, gallery night, and a bunch of you sent in some glorious rugs that you've been working on, projects that you've been working on, and that's what we're going to be looking at tonight. If you're joining us for the first time, once a month at least, we have a gallery night where we look at what you're working on. And Karen, I really appreciate in the note that you sent that you said thank you for this platform because I never thought of it like that. And it's like, don't thank me, thank all of us are here doing this together, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it at all. But I do like that thought because it does make me think it is a good platform, isn't it? There's a bunch of us logged on. There's almost 50 people watching live. There'll be 500 by tomorrow, or over the weekend it will be a silly number. And it is a great platform to people for people to be able to put their work out there and say, hey, this is me, this is what I'm doing. You know, I hope you like it, but this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working on. I'm a beginner. I'm a seasoned pro. This is how I like to work. Can you give me some ideas? You know, or this is just it. Do you like it? You know, I mean, it's just nice to be able to share like this because not everybody is on Facebook, right? That is a big thing. And you know, I want to start because Brandolyn, you sent me some great photos right after the last gallery night, and I somehow I missed them. And on the last gallery night, one of the things that we started talking about, just as a side conversation, was frames. How do you make frames? Does everybody want to buy a frame that costs 200, 400, $1,200? Maybe not, right? And we do talk from time to time on different kinds of frames. And after the last gallery night, I had quite a few people send in beautiful images of floor frames and Chetty frames that were either bought or handmade. And Brandolyn sent some beautiful photos in too. Let me go over there now. Let's see. I don't want to skip a good conversation like that. So this is what Brandolyn sent. She said, I didn't get these to you in time, but I would love for you to see it. I think it must be, we're talking about this frame. I think it must be handmade because there are no labels, words, etc. It's not handmade. And the only reason I know that, Brandolyn, is because I have several of the exact same one. So these frames were out there. Some people use them for rugging, some people use them for quilting, some people use them for embroidery, or making needlepoint rugs. There's lots of different uses for them, but these are late 19th century, early 20th century frames, mostly early 20th. This one looks like, but I recognize the hardware, and these, at least in this part of the country, I'm in Connecticut, New England. I see a lot of these in antique stores, and I see a lot of these on Facebook Marketplace. And these typically, these kind, now this has work on it that we're going to look at in detail because it's a nice seasonal project too. Um, these frames, I've picked them up. Like when I first started collecting rugs and stuff, I would drive anywhere to pick them up because I was afraid I was going to miss something great and I didn't really know what everything was. As I was learning and figuring out what was common and what was rare and all that stuff, I picked up a ton of these frames. And in doing so, I mean, they're big space pigs, aren't they? They're giant frames. But a lot of them for me had, now this looks like a quite new piece actually with the monk's cloth. A lot of these had burlap pieces on them that had been on the frame so long stretching that they were no good anymore. So I took them off and they're in, damage control, repair piles for future times. But for me, at least in this area, I see these often. I don't think for myself that I would, for myself, necessarily start working on this frame. Although I have to say, although this is an old frame, for me, these frames tend to be a little bit on the rickety side. But having said that, this doesn't look like. Oh, let me finish reading it first before I shoot my mouth off. It rolls back and forth with the cog things, and the rug is sewn in to the twill tape. Sorry, that's a garage door under me opening up. That is attached to the frame with sofa tacks, so upholstery tacks that you can get anywhere, right? It tilts forward and backward as well. I love it, but I haven't had the nerve to take the rug off that my great aunt never finished. I've rolled it forward enough to know that there's about 4 to 6 more gulp feet to hook. So that's a lot. Andrea says, I just finished a candy cane, not in a frame. It's definitely a learning curve when you're used to a frame. Ooh, interesting. I want to come back and talk about that. Brandolin, this is an old frame for sure, right? I would think that this is like maybe a 1900 era frame, but the piece on it is not old. This piece is on monk's cloth. Um, I wouldn't be afraid to take it off. It's going to come off fine. If this was a burlap piece, I'd be worried, and it was a lot older. I'd be worried about it. This is like a nice, fresh, newish piece. So I think you're totally fine taking this off. Just be a little bit careful. But it's gonna be absolutely fine. There's a lot of tacks here, right? And we saw putting a frame together using these upholstery tacks, and I do this too. I really like this technique. I am fine with no gripper combs. I have got permanent scars from those gripper combs just because I'm stupid and too lazy to put my steering wheel cover over my frame most of the time, which protects you from those vicious combs. But this is a perfectly viable and historic way to get your piece taut as tight as a drum right on your frame. And it's a perfectly fine frame if you feel like the height is right, and it's moving well, and it's fairly sturdy. um, yeah, I mean, it's just per person. It's how it feels for you to be working on it. I haven't liked the feeling of these frames, but it doesn't mean that you won't love a frame like this. So I feel like this is a great piece, and Brandolin, absolutely take that piece off or roll it or work it. You could even put it on a smaller frame if you prefer to work on your usual frame. But since this is already on here, it might be a good sort of exercise to try hooking right on here. This has got to be a number 3 cut, but it's absolutely beautiful, and you needn't worry at all. It's such a new piece compared to what I would expect to find on this age of a frame. It's fun to find these, and it's fun to roll the piece off. For me, every time I roll a piece off a frame of this age, there are giant holes as I roll, and that is like so upsetting. But you just it is what it is. You can shore them up unless they're massive splits. Like really, some of the ones I have are just completely split. And then I'm thinking about pillows and other uses. But this is not one of those. This is absolutely fine. I just want to come back for a minute and say to Andrea, you just finished a candy cane. Now, is it like a flat picture of a candy cane, or is it like a three-dimensional, like something that you sewed and put together that way? I'm just curious. Hmm. It can be a learning curve. I was working, I should have put the picture on the show. I'll show you this week on Coffee Time. I was working on those two cats that Jacob, who works with me at the studio, designed as a gift that he's giving. And I mean, I can't believe how beautifully they came out. I was very nervous, despite having a degree in essentially sewing, right, in like costume construction. I was very nervous because I never do three-dimensional pieces. Once in a blue moon, and as they were not my pieces, and I was finishing them for someone else and for a gift, and there wasn't a lot of extra time, I was very worried that I would screw them up. And it was so easy. I'll have to make a video of just showing. I don't, not that you do the candy canes that way, but I just thought, I worked myself up for nothing. I got all amped up for absolutely no reason because it was so easy getting the backing onto these cats and having them be three-dimensional. They were super, super, if I do say so myself, remarkably pretty. I breathed a huge sigh of relief. SF Stark says, I found a small tabletop version of this type of frame, and this one happened to also tilt from side to side. That's super handy, having the tilting, right? I just used it for my felted lamplight hook drug. I saw that. That's so pretty. I really, really liked that. Um, and I'm happy with it as an optional. It's nice to have a lot of things to choose from, isn't it? with everything in life. It's very nice to have a lot of things to choose from. So I agree with that. I second that in a huge way. And I was really happy. I'm just going to adjust myself a little bit. I was really happy to see your piece with the lamplight. I should have put that in the show. I'm so sorry. Let's put that in for the next edition of gallery night, all right? If you don't mind, because I would love to show that. And I noticed that some people were saying, in looking at that piece, oh, I was just thinking about whether it's possible to needle felt, right, different craft, onto a hooked rug piece. And I was happy that that conversation got opened up again because this conversation comes up from time to time and it's important to have it because, yes, needle felting, roving, does adhere to wool, right? So you can absolutely attach it with your needle felting thing, whether it's a single needle, right? And any of the sizes it comes in is small, medium, large, or whether it's like one of those clover multis with lots of little needles coming down, you can absolutely attach roving needle felt style to a hooked rug piece. So I was in a super hurry, but I was just threading through that and going, good. I'm glad that this came up because that's super helpful information. It's nice to hear that brought up every once in a while because doing a secondary sort of technique onto a hooked rug piece, I think gives the hooked rug piece legs, doesn't it? I mean, we keep trying to push out that fourth wall with rug hooking so that it crosses over into other crafts and attracts some new people. And that's one of the things that makes this natural sort of bedfellow to rug hooking is needle felting because needle felting works on wool. Wool attaches to wool, right? That is the nature of felting, is attaching wool to wool. Interesting. So, all right. Yes, a flat one using monk's cloth and yarn. I'm sure it was absolutely beautiful. Kim Connolly, solo camper and married traveler. What a great name. Good to see you. It's actually quite cool there for this time of year. It's only 75 degrees. I'm Canadian living in Australia. Oh, yeah. So I always miss a white. Oh, I bet you do. And you do your Christmas at the complete middle of the year, right? I've got two of my best friends. They're a female married couple living in the south of Australia, and they love Christmas, Hawaii, Disney World, visiting New England villages, shopping at Yankee Candle, all of this stuff. And they tend to like to come when there are Christmas things to do here together so that they don't completely miss the whole Christmas thing the way that it is. I get what you're saying, but I bet it is so beautiful there. Did you want to say something to me?
Oh, I thought I got a text from you.
Nope, nope.
It was another
Sorry,
one.
nope. All right, so let's see. Yes, I did that, and then this time also. Oh, wet felted. Okay, excellent. Yeah, wet felting is a little bit different, and you can do. Most people when they wet felt are making their backing fabric right to attach to. There's so many. We do have to hit this in 2023. I promise. I am so behind with everything, as you know. But these are all things that we need to open up and make super visible, super obvious, very clear and available to everybody who wants to try something different. Because with felting, all you need are a couple of needles and some roving, or even roving style yarn from the yarn store or whatever. It's such an easy thing to get into, and it doesn't take a lot of practice or knowledge to get going. So this is a great conversation. I love having this crossover. 24 degrees for Canadians and Australians. Oh, I love how worldly this group is. It's such a lot of fun. Such a lot of fun. And I am going to be making a story rug for my Australian friends. I want to take it. I have this image of them from their combined trips from visiting me because my friend Leslie used to tour with me when I was a tour guide. And then she met Jackie, and then they started traveling here together. And we love being together, and doing all of our shopping things and singing really loud in the car on the way home. But I have this great vision because I don't think she watches the show of making for her and Jackie a rug of them um, in Northampton, Massachusetts. They have all these like really beautiful rainbow crosswalks. I know they do that in a lot of places right now, but that was one of the first places. And I have a picture of them crossing on that together. So I wanted to have like the rainbow crosswalk going up to the Magic Kingdom castle, like the famous German castle, with like fireworks and stuff in the background, but also like Hawaiian style Christmas trees with flamingos. That's going to be a story rug that I'm working on soon as a gift for her, as a gift for them. And just a reminder also, I didn't do this on purpose, but that show with Pierre Sylvain that I'm planning is coming up in April. So we have a little more room. If you would like to If you would like to put a rug into the show, it will be in the Capitol Hartford, the Charter Oak Cultural Center in April. And the theme is just story rugs. So if you have a rug that's special to you that you'd like to put into the show, just let me know at ribboncandyhooking at gmail.com. And we want it in the show, right? We want to have 25 or 30 rugs in the show from different people that are special rugs and special to you. And it will be safe with me, and I will send them back to you too. And I'm also running a class on creating a story rug on New Year's Day. If you are at a loose end for something to do, that could be something fun to do together. So, all of these things going through, right? Oh, Kim says, I tried tufting, but I really didn't like all the leftover wool on the ground. Were you shaving it? Were you like clipping it and shaving it? Is that what you mean by all the leftover wool on the ground? I'll try doing the loop. Oh, yep. So you're trying to. So you were doing the when you do the tufting with the tufting gun. Most people tend to shave it. That is like the way that you see it most often, mostly on social media and stuff. I'm not doing it that way myself. I'm doing it looped, right? Because the guns usually offer you the choice. I'm definitely doing it looped because I agree with you. It's not just a mess. I prefer it looking more like a traditional rug, like a hooked rug or a punched rug myself. So that will solve that problem anyway, right? You can still try it, but just with a different surface finish. And Ryan says, can't wait for the show in April. You'll have to document. Oh God, I'll document it like you won't believe. You're going to feel like you're there. You're going to be so sick of the show by the time we get it all sorted out and set up and we've put it up. And there's going to be videos that you're going to be like, enough already. So yeah, don't worry about that. You're going to see every little bit of that show. And I know you're going to send a couple pieces, so I'm excited. Excellent. Dave says, my Van Gogh rug is in the mail, headed to Hamden. I'll show it as soon as I get it. I'm sure it'll be here. That's coming up in January. We have lots of exciting things going on this year. I'm so happy that we have so many things that we're going to share together. So, Brandolyn, thanks for sending these photos. This is super handy, and I am anxious to see this rug. It looks like a nice snowy cardinal rug right on that frame. That'll be fun to see that off the frame. Julia, you are a powerhouse. You are a force of nature with the Chesapeake series. This is just astonishing. So we have from one gallery night to the next been looking at Juliet's series of Chesapeake rugs. So, in your latest message, and we're about to look at the latest installment, the most recent Chesapeake rug. These are the past masters here. These are the ones that she's already finished that we've looked at in gallery night and coffee time. And Juliet wrote, "Hi Deanna, I just finished hooking this one, so I'm about to show you the new one. It's going to be Chesapeake Fantasy Rug number 7, Odyssey." Let's move toward that. These should look familiar to you. Juliet, I love your color palette. I love how different all of the rugs are with a similar color palette. I think it's very hard to do, and it's just coming very naturally to you. This is Odyssey, so this is the most recent one. It's destined for the entryway to the salon on our boat, and a Christmas present for my husband. Oh, no wonder you were jamming away on it. You needed to get that done, didn't you? Our boat is named the Odyssey. Oh, I love a good classical name like that. And the font I used matches the boat name on the transom. Isn't that perfect? So it's the same font. That is really perfect. I love them too. Everybody is going to be busy for the next few minutes loving these rugs. And I put I put all the photos in that you sent, and then I was a Predator online, and I found some more photos and I added those too because I think we all like to see the way that this series is working up. You are using you're using yarn, so many different kinds of yarn. They are fab, Andrea. I mean, I love to see these like sort of storytelling photos of all of the yarns laid out. And it's just, I always say this and I'll never stop. It's a great reminder. Kim, I love the textures too. These are just remarkable pieces. It's a great reminder that no matter what you have been hoarding, right? Whatever yarns you have, whatever the content is, um, keep them, save them, keep them handy for moments like this when you want to lay them all out and you just want to be able to reach for one, right? You'll have lots of choices. I am enabling you to be a pig in the craft department, right? I am too. I think we all are. It is nice to have choices. And a lot of yarns, like, I have some very expensive yarns that I use for special things like book projects and stuff like that. But I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of Red Heart and Lion and stuff too from Joann's and Michael's, and I love using it. I do love using it. There's a lot of sort of soft um, roving style yarns, right, without a high twist that are not finished, spun finished, right, but that still fall into the category of yarn and roving. I think there's some roving in here. Stuff like this, right? And you see the mashup of textures where you mix something that has at the bottom like a little bit of a mohair. It looks like quality to it, and the white has more of a kind of a shaggy, not chenille. It's still very loopy, but way more structured feel than the less spun stuff. Luminous colors, right? You get such beautiful luminous colors with the roving um, and the not fully spun or finished yarns, right? Like these big fat fluffy ones. And then lots of textured yarns that are more than one color. What a symphony of interest. I love this style too, Kim. Does it have a name? The no, this technique doesn't have a name. Um, and that's a really interesting question. I never thought about this. Let's think about this though. When we see people hooking with yarn in this way, right? Just yarn as opposed to strips, we tend to historically think of it as initially the rag rug style from the UK. And now I think, in large part because of Dion Fitzpatrick and all of the Canadian hookers, now I think we tend to think of it at least as much of a Canadian style as a British style. What we don't think of this style as is an American style, not to nationalize this too much, but it is absolutely true that through the 20th century, Americans were very preoccupied with a specific style of hooking and a more narrow cut, more realistic style. That's the way pattern designing was going, that's the way hooking was going, that's the way teaching was going. But in other places, it was much, much more common to carry on the craft of rug making by thrifting, by continuing to thrift, cutting up clothing, using scraps of yarn, using anything that you had on hand. And that runs parallel to, but it is not really the same thing as hooking with milled wool that you have every shade of every color and everything to choose from. When you're hooking with yarn and thrifting supplies, like 19th century hooking was to begin with. I'm not saying one is better than the other, right? I'm saying they're completely apples and oranges. They're like parallel train tracks that thank God never cross, right? Because that's, well, I mean, they could, and they can in the same piece. I meant the trains crossing. But no, I wouldn't say that this had a style. I like to refer to this style as more of a rag rug style. And for my own language, partly because of the books that I've been working on, I'm trying to get away from the phrase rug hooking and come back to the idea of rug making, rugging, and making rag rugs. Because while we're still using the word rug for things that are most often destined to be wall pieces and proper, hanging art pieces, I wish that there could be a clearer language for this. But until we evolve the language ourselves and get used to using it, it is what it is. And I think it's a bit confusing. But I am crossing over as often as possible to rag rugging, um, just to make that point that when you are using something other than completely all wool strips, you have pieces that end up looking like this. And with even more variety and different variety, this is Juliet, this is like an all yarn piece, right? If you were to throw in some garbage bags, some cut up balloons, a bit of like upholstery fabric, some paisley or challis scarves, you would be going even further down that sort of thrifty rag rug road. And you end up with pieces that have a very eclectic and not very formal look. To me, I like this style. It screams art gallery to me, but it is very different than the hook rugs of the 20th century. I want to be careful about the language that I'm using because I never want to make it seem like one is better than the other, ever. Um, Let me catch up with this now. Andrea says, I do mainly yarn because we can't get wool material here. Andrea, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. You get what you get and you don't get upset, right? I mean, I use what I use for my own pieces because I like eclectic work like this. I like using a lot of different materials. I'm not a big match person for myself. So I love working in that style too. Sonia says Canadian East Coast hooking is done with yarn. In Ontario, we use wool strips. Okay, so that's interesting, that difference there. I'm glad that you said that, Sonia, because I do know like the Chetty Camp School is like a lot of yarn, right? A lot of those Eastern Mission, at least historically, sort of settlement area schools of hooking were yarn or nylons. But I completely forgot that in Ontario it's more of a wool strips world. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Honestly, we should put together. Okay, here comes a meme. Here comes a very specific meme that is not going to be for 99.99% of the world. It'd be fun to put together a map of the world to show the different, like as kind of a joke, to show where the sort of predominant styles of hooking are. So when we look at them, we could say, interesting, Ontario. It's almost like looking at forecasts in political races, right? Where they, at least in the United States, color up a state so you know what the projection is likely to be, right? And it gives you some kind of a graph or a grid. That would be funny to do as a placeholder, as a joke. Oh, I like that idea. That would be funny. Let me catch up a little. Let me move forward on the slides too, so you have something else to look at besides my face and that slide. So close-ups of Odyssey. I see a lot of very sparkly material, a lot of stuff with metallic content. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Sonia, wouldn't that be funny? I mean, wouldn't that be fun? It would be something great to. If anybody has time to do that, please do it. I know I don't have the technological savvy to do that, and I definitely don't have the time. But I would. I'm such a pig, right? I would love to see that done. Here I am sitting on my throne, like giving other people projects. Um, Juliet says, I spin a lot of my own yarn too. It gives me some flexibility, especially when I'm trying to get some color gradients into place. I think that's a great point too. When you know that you are longing for a specific color and you're like, it's rose, but it's not dusty rose enough. Now it's dusty rose, but it's missing that flavor of plum, right? You know in your heart what you mean to have. And sometimes if you have the means of doing it, it does make a lot of sense to just get in there and just make it yourself if you're able to. Remember, January is a dyeing month in the studio for us, so we're going to be talking about a lot of natural dyes, foraging, chemical dyes, things like that. Not spinning in January, although we might touch on it. We might touch on it. And Kim says, that's ironic since I'm Canadian. No wonder I identify with it. I love thrifting, and it's one of the reasons I love making rag rugs. Absolutely. Yeah. When I say Canadian school, obviously Canada is a massive place, as is the US, as is England. I mean, there are different schools even within the UK of hooking. But for the most part, it's mostly rugging. And it is nice to talk about and celebrate all the different ways because it reminds you that one way is not the right way. It is not my way or the highway. It is never that in life, is it? With anything, with very few things, right? Not with crafts and arts. Sonia says also getting more popular is fancy yarns, other kinds of materials like jersey and velvet. Yep, that is so true. Those things are getting to be more and more popular. I love hooking with those things too. Chenille's, velvet, stretch velvets, denim. I hook with anything that goes through and stays. It doesn't hurt too much to pull through like 100 times. Is something that I'll use. And Bob the Puncher, good to see you. No forgetting Scotland. That's right. Scotland's going to go into the map too. That's going to fall squarely, I think, into rag rugging, and I think also a lot of punching. Right. I think in Europe we're seeing a lot of punching too. I know you notably in the forefront of that, but yeah, I think we should do that. I think that would be interesting, and it might be interesting to update it from time to time just to see as time goes on and people sort of begin participating in the craft, hopefully more and more as time goes on, we can always update it and rethink it. But I would love to see lots of colors everywhere and less of the sort of one school thing anywhere. Good to see you too, Bob. Happy Friday night. Juliet, this piece, all your pieces are just revered by all. Everybody loves this series. Oh, wait a minute, that was the last one. So, Juliet, thank you so much for sending these. Odyssey, like the rest of the Chesapeake series, is absolutely glorious. Home run. You hit it completely out of the park again. And you must be so proud to be giving that as a Christmas gift. That is an extraordinary Christmas gift. I'm so excited to hear how well received it will be by your husband. I'm sure it will, of course, be. This is a beautiful piece. Colleen sent a couple of pieces from around the house. Colleen is working all the time on pieces too. Just another super, super busy maker. High, high, high end. Lots of lovely things out for all of the holidays. West Coast tufters, Ryan. Is that, did I miss a preface to that? Oh, West Coast is mostly tufters. I would absolutely agree with that. I would. I think the demographic too, like the age being a little bit lower, me being 50, much lower than my age, the demographic is such. I think that tufting is going to be, you're right, 99% of that market. Sonia says 100% wool fabric is so expensive in Ontario, up to $40 a meter. Yeah, pretty close for us here too, Sonia. It's so disheartening. I mean, it is what it is, but the milled wool is expensive. It's going to be, for us, maybe it's $10 less a yard, but it's still a lot. So I see many switching slowly to yarn, absolutely for the 100% wool. And if you have stores, thrift stores and things like that, that'll help too. Um, and then always just keep an open mind about using other materials besides wool. It really depends on if you want it on the floor and you want that very rugged integrity that wool has to offer and that great color saturation. But it's also always worth remembering that the 19th century rugs that we see, those beautiful antique rugs that we see often on the show, rarely are made of wool. Occasionally you get some scraps of wool, but they are typically cotton, velvet, satin, silks, all different kinds of materials and prints, with very few examples being all wool. Um, I can hardly think of any, like a handful. So historically, there has been a lot of variety in rugs, and those rugs have gone on the floor. So always worth thinking about that because when you see different materials, sometimes you think, how does it hook? It hooks fine. And once it's in place with all those other loops around it, most materials by far look great and really present themselves as a traditional hooked rug. You don't stand there and go, gosh, it doesn't look like everything is wool. What's going on here? I need some kind of fact checking episode here. What is going on? You just can't tell. You absolutely can't tell. So that's always good to bear in mind. Kim says, I would also help new rug makers like myself find where other rug makers are in their own country. Absolutely. I don't know where to find groups here in Australia. You know, it's a shame, Kim, that Gail's not on. Does anybody know what? Maybe Gail will come on later. Gail usually logs on for breakfast from Australia during this show. Um, I'm trying to think of where she's from. Does anybody remember? I really should remember. Because she is such a sweet. I mean, Australia is a huge country too. But wouldn't it be nice if you were lucky and you were near each other? And maybe she knows of some groups where you could connect with some other people there too. That needs to happen. That really needs to happen. Sunny says yes. We will 100% wool on linen for floor pieces. So then great to switch to yarn. Also great to find sweaters, right, that you don't want to use and wear anymore that are 100% wool and unravel them, right? Usually starting at the bottom, get off the pieces that are going to play you in the plackets and all the seams that are sewed on. I have at least one video on this and try to find that end that is just going to unravel. And you can, if you have a spinner, right, to work with the Swift, you don't need the Swift. But if you have a spinner or you just do it with your hand and roll it into a ball, you can get an incredible amount of wool yarn from one sweater. And then of course you cut, and it'll make you'll have 100 breaks in there that'll drive you crazy. But it's a good use of time, and it's a good use of supplies and repurposing and reusing and all that stuff. And it'll have 100 breaks at least. So who cares? Use up the sleeves and use up all the bits and pieces that make sense. Because with pulling up loops, you need such small quantities. You can just tie them together and it'll all work out. That's another great way to get a lot of materials really inexpensively that can still be 100% wool. Juliet says the Odyssey rug will be in a higher traffic area, so I'll use it as a test bed to see how it holds up. You have so much good sturdy yarn in there. For the pieces, for the elements, the materials that are less um, solid, sturdy. Sorry, I'm so tired right now and I'm still not feeling well. Um, I wouldn't worry about those pieces too much. I think it's a watch and wait thing, like the metallics and those kinds of things, the multis that are the higher end yarns. I would wait and watch. I think with so much of it being structurally so sound, I don't think you have a lot to worry about. Definitely not in the near future. Kim says it's Christmas Eve morning now, so she may be quite busy. Oh, you're right. She may be quite busy. Happy Christmas Eve morning. That's true. That's true. You're a little bit further ahead than us. So this is one of Colleen's pieces. Such a beautiful festive piece. I love seeing on our Facebook group, which is rug hooking and ampersand. Oh, here comes our first spam thing of the night. Second, fantastic. Third. Okay, and the next one from Colleen is this one. Santa is under the tree with some prezzies already. A nice cut out piece here. She's just so busy with so many lovely pieces. I love the expression on this Santa too. Isn't it pretty how when you take pictures of a tree and the Christmas lights are lit? Isn't it pretty how the Christmas lights always come out? They always have some magical aura around them, you know? I wish that people could have this colored aura around them. I mean, like, in spirituality books and stuff that they've attempted to do that over the years. Thank you, Linda. But oh, I just think it looks so pretty. Sharon, you said I found a silk sweater for $5 in a thrift store. It has a Ferragamo label, but I'm still going to unravel it. Absolutely. And if it's lightweight, you can always double it up, right? When you're hooking. I would absolutely do it too. Why not? You're gonna use all that beautiful material and you're gonna enjoy it, right? You can enjoy it on your shoulders and your back, or you can enjoy it in a beautiful art piece that you've made. So that makes perfect sense to me. Sharon says, and the sweater is white, so you're going to, oh, that's even better. It's white, so you're going to have silk color so beautifully, as you know, I'm sure, as does wool, right? For me, nothing takes color like wool and silk. Nothing does. Oh, Sonia, the Facebook name is Rug Hooking and and symbol Punch Needle Club. So you'll see it there. I hope that you join. It's a large group. We're probably this weekend we're going to tip the scale to 12,000. That is the largest rug group. So I'm very proud of that. You should be very proud of that too, because I'm hardly ever on there. But I know a lot of you are, and I really appreciate it. Love a good thrift find, right? Isn't that the truth? Oh, Colleen, both of these pieces are so charming, so festive. This makes me want to slow down next year and have more sort of festive pieces around the house like this. I think that my kids would really love this too. Linda, you always send such great whimsical pieces. Linda Schultes Hoffman, beautiful pieces. She says, good morning, sending you some pictures of my latest projects. The alligator is the second version of the one I made earlier. I remember the other one. It's 14 by 33, and I loved the other one as well. Mostly cut wool with some wool yarn. Absolutely beautiful. Dave says thrifting rocks. Feels great to snag a bargain. It does, doesn't it? Love that 20K. Yes, thank you. Um, yeah, I love to snag a bargain too. Doesn't it? I mean, it just makes you feel better because what makes you feel, I mean, at least for me, right? Because money's always like a thing for me. It always has been. I have a theater degree and I went to school for art, right? So it's always a thing. But nothing, if I go somewhere and I spend too much on something or I realize that I did not make a good deal and it was not a good bargain, I don't enjoy the thing. Whether it's an article of clothing or a meal or whatever it was, I can't enjoy the thing if I feel like I don't want to say I got ripped off, but I feel like I didn't make a wise choice, right? And it's the same thing with thrifting. I think you enjoy it so much more when you feel like, ha, I got a bargain, right? It does. It feels great. It feels great. Um, I love the gator. I love the gator too. And I do remember Linda's other gator. And I love that you do series stuff. You do a lot of series stuff like this. Holy mackerel, I really love this image. And of this image, you said the others are all small rugs and Christmas mats that I made and sent out with my Christmas cards. And I received one of these. Mine is in the next picture, I think. But these are so, so, so beautiful. They were hooked with acrylic and novelty yarns for sparkle. Some were backed with wool. Some were glued to cork tiles. Mine was glued to a cork tile or magnet sheets. They were fun and quick to make. Wishing you and all the Ribbon Candy family a happy holiday season. You know, I've never seen that phrase before, the Ribbon Candy family, but God, that makes me really happy. We are a family, and it is so nice to be regarded as one. I love that you did this. I know you said it was quick and easy, and I think that's mine in the middle there. It's hanging up right over my desk. Right over my desk. I love all of these. I like the variety of the trees too. You know, I love how some of them have a little snowy landscape. I love the novelty materials. Oh, so Kim, the Facebook page is called Rug Hooking, two words, and the symbol for and Punch Needle Club. And those are two different words too, Punch Needle Club. So rug hooking and Punch Needle Club. It'll be great to have you there. I think a lot of us are on there and a lot more buddies are on there. Anything that you ask, you will receive immediately an answer, and always from a very nice person who is very forthcoming with help. It's a great resource. Thank you, Ryan. So these are just gorgeous. I just love these. I really hope, I hope that next year is different for me personally, that it's not so frantic and crazy and depressed. And I really want to do projects like this because this appeals to me so much. This big series of all of these, putting these in Christmas cards. I mean, yeah, how fun is this? This is such a lot of fun. Linda, you did such a beautiful job. I'm so, so happy to see these. And I'm so happy for everybody who received these because I know how I felt about mine. And I know everybody who received one of these felt the same way and was just so excited. You did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing. Karen, you sent some beauties again. You are busy all the time as well. You said, well, I finished up my Rhea rug, and we're going to look at that in a minute, which I may have done in time to post. Yep, I got it. I'm thinking about my next piece. Included are two designs I'm working on. The first is my cat, Felix, stalking amongst the hollyhocks and comes across a fairy. This would be a multivaried fiber piece. So just what we were talking about, right? Just what we were talking about when we were looking at Juliet's piece, like a multi-fiber piece, including fur for the cat. And you can use, if you have a cat that you are modeling on, you can actually use some of the cat's hair, right? Just rough it up a little, roll it in your fingers a little bit, and handle it like it's roving, right? You can definitely hook cat hair into, if you can spin it, then spin it. But if you're not set up to spin, you can at least roll it and get some of it into your piece. And then you know it's there. Cat's Gallery, great to see you. Happy Friday night. You know it's there and you know it's extra special. So that's also a thought. Um, Multi-fibered fiber piece including fur for the cat and sparkle fabric and yarn for the fairy. Yeah, that fairy has got to sparkle. You know, that material I sometimes talk about that's at the craft stores, it's 100% synthetic, um, sort of holographic, um, lightweight. It looks like it wants to be some kind of, I want to say, taffeta, lightweight kind of a taffeta, but it's sheer and it's holographic. It's also a little bit textured. Sheer for the cat. Yeah. I mean, shears would work anywhere in here, but those wings, I gotta find that fabric and show it because it comes in handy for so many things. Also, clear plastic bags could be very good, or white plastic bags even for the wings of the fairy. There's lots of things that, well, not that that's what we're talking about. I'm going off on a bender. I'm going to stop. Um, I can't wait to see the sparkle fabric and yarn for the fairy. And Karen, you said, I'm wondering how three-dimensional to make the flowers and if they should set back and not conflict with the cat and the fairy. Um, I think you have, my opinion is I think you have to be strategic with that. Because with Prati, with bringing the flowers forward in a Prati way, um, it would be neat. You could completely lose the fairy. So I'd be really careful and selective about certainly not the flower that she's against. I wouldn't do that with. I would maybe do some at the bottom. I might do the one to the left of her. But I'd be really careful about what I chose. With the cat, I think I would like to see some proddy flowers. I would like to see the action of him pushing through some realistic flowers in an effort to, make sense of what he's seeing, he or she, the cat Felix, what he is seeing in this little fairy figure. So I like that idea, but just, and I know that you know this because you have so much natural talent, um, it has potential to be confusing. So I know that you are already so hardwired to make good decisions like this that you will, once you get started, realize um, where you can and where you shouldn't for the sake of confusion, right? Um, but that is a to be continued, I think. I'm just taking a quick sip. Andrea says, I have a large bag of my dog's fur. He was 14 yesterday. Happy birthday to that sweetheart. Oh, it's so good. I have bags of all of my animals' fur too, like current animals, animals who have passed. I have so many bags of my children's hair. I could really pass as like a Stephen King character. It's kind of creepy, but I can't get rid of it after I cut it off of their heads. We have one. I don't know if I've ever shown it to you. It's so gross. Jocelyn, my daughter, had such a bad knot in her hair one time. She gets the worst knots in her hair because she's not a girly girl and she hates brushing her hair, and it's an uphill battle. But I have always managed to free her of the most horrific knots in her hair, always. And this one time a few months ago, I was not. I failed. And I could not put any more hours into this, and I could not handle the crying and the carrying on. It was frazzling my nerves. And I ended up really artfully cutting an enormous not. I mean, honestly. I mean, it was bigger than. I want to say it was like the size of a grapefruit. I know we are always comparing uh, grotesque things like tumors, nests of hair to fruits, right? That's in itself a very strange thing. I think Louis C.K. expanded on that greatly in one of his stand-up routines. But this was truly disgusting. And what we did when I cut it off of her, this was very late at night. We have this light up lamp of a cat. It's like a big kawaii type cat. We immediately named the thing that I cut out of her hair. I think we named it Edith. And we put it on top of the cat's head as a giant wig. And it remains there because it is super funny, super fun. I mean, it has a purpose, I get, is what I'm saying. And if I ever run out of like a brown material, I can go to that nest of hair and just pull from it because it is like the gift that keeps on giving. It is an enormous amount of hair and it will hook. It will hook. And carrying along with that conversation, less gross vein, when you go to stores that sell wigs and extensions and things like that, and everybody's got the crazy color now, much crazier than this, right? Any color of the rainbow. When you go to those stores, you can often find long, long, long swatches of perfectly straight hair, like long, like this wide, but like a really long piece, rainbow or ombre. Think about that. If you're doing pieces where you could hook with that, you can hook with that. Um, and I've pulled some from stores like that. I've bought some for like future mermaids, things like that, turquoises, teal greens. Why not? When I see it and I go, oh, I love those colors, and they're not expensive. Particularly like the small switches, and I think they're called switches, not swatches. But it's worth grabbing those when you see them because stockpile it, right? They're not super expensive, and you might not see the colors that you like later, and that's the thing, isn't it? So, rail hair, pet hair, false hair, all of this is fine. Kaz says, I made a hat out of my collie fur for my husband. That is super cool. Kaz, you are great. I just love you. That is super cool. You spin the dog fur and make yarn. That is very practical. That makes perfect sense. Very cool. Melanie says, rub mayo into it next time, and you should be able. Oh, really? Oh, that is interesting because she's working on another great knot. We've learned nothing. That's good information. Thank you so much. I will try that. I don't want to cut any more of her hair. As much as we love Edith, I prefer not to. That's a great tip. Thank you. KMS has a conditioner that can be diluted with water and sprayed into the hair. Okay, these are great things. Um, I'm gonna take a screenshot of both of those comments instead of asking you to, because I know sooner rather than later I took a screenshot. I'm gonna need to do something with mayo or spray. Crazy detours. Sorry about that. Karen, I'm sorry about that. We were talking about fur. Um, I love the sketch for this piece, and this is going to be one of your legendary pieces, right? To add to your other legendary pieces. Um, I'm really curious to see the Prati. I think it's the right thing to do, and I know that you will do it just right. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. This is the other piece you were working on that you sent, and I absolutely love this piece as well. Um, the day that you wrote, you said this came to me today. March goes out like a lion, so it comes in like what is it? Comes in like a hare, comes in like a March comes in like a lamb, comes in like a lamb, goes out like a lion, right? I was trying to incorporate Prati as well as three-dimensional punch flowers with the hooked lion, with wool curls for his mane. I'm wondering if the saying should go all the way. So I responded to this with my opinion, and I hope it was a good one. You were asking, what about the text? Should it be split? Should it be like this? And my personal opinion was it should be part of the composition. And the reason I felt like that is because you have got a composition that is made up of a very attractive and interesting multiple, and that is the flowers with the swirls. And with kind of the scatter, the random pattern that you've got going with the flowers, it makes sense to me to sprinkle in text right into the flower motif. That makes more sense to me than sort of partitioning it off in a more formal manner, relegated to the border. For me, that makes less sense, but it's personal choice. And I think I have a further slide, so let's carry on. Wait a minute. Da 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 da. Hang on. Something's up. and and then you sent this, and I have to say, for me, it's a personal choice. I prefer this. I really do. You still have the very strong multiples. All of that great motion is in there. There's a celebratory quality. It's very whimsical. I like seeing the informal text mixed in with it. This is a story rug, right? This is a picture rug. It's a story rug. I like the important part of the story to me is the text. I want to see the story inside of the composition for myself. This to me is perfection, absolute perfection. And I love what you've done here. You started with hooking the face, with hooking some yarn that looks like the Rhea style yarn again. With that, Karen, with the yarn in the body at the bottom, are you latch hooking that again? Are you latch hooking pre-cut pieces, or are you hooking very high and clipping? I can see in the mane that you're clipping, but I'm wondering about the body of the lion that we see evolving, how you're doing that. That is going to be really interesting. Prati flower, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Nothing like plum and yellow to make life great, right? These for me are two colors like match made in heaven colors. Um, Karen, you are so talented. It's like uncanny. It's amazing. Really wonderful piece. And this is the Rhea rug that you were working on. Um, and I have to say, I think this is my favorite Rhea rug I've seen. Absolutely love the colors. I love the fade of the reds and the oranges. Those are the colors I never go for because they are too 70s to me. But with the cool purples and the neutral gray, this doesn't have a hint of 70s to me at all. And of course, this form wants to be 70s. That's where our heads are jumping to. This doesn't have that at all. I absolutely love the artfulness and the color in this piece. It is absolutely amazing. And I can see you wrote something else. Let me come back here. Hang on. I want to be sure I don't skip anything. The lion will be hooked. Okay, so you reply. I absolutely love feel. Okay, that was my reply. Um, and then you said the lion will be hooked. The fur will be latch hooked. There we go. The fur will be latch hooked with the Rhea yarn I found on eBay this fall, and I remember that. We talked about that in a gallery night. I couldn't believe you were latch hooking into linen, but it worked great. I was amazed to see you trailblazing because I had no idea that that would work at all. And the mane will be done using Cotswold locks. So that is like sheep locks. Like you can get the roving, you can get it spun into yarn, you can get actually just the curls cut right off of the animal. And they're often dyed, and they are so beautiful, and they are a lot of fun to hook with. So that's great information. Let me come back there and show that again, just so we know what those locks look like. And that is another variation. I was talking about the beauty store and wigs and extensions and all of those things, but this is the way that the curls will look if you are hooking directly with curls, right? So that's another great, very tactile, very appropriate handling of the mane. Let me come back one more time. I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss any of this. Let's see. Um, the wind will be hooked into the background. I like that. The wind will be hooked, right? Remember that poem? The the um, what was it called? The Attic of the Wind, something like that. All the things that got stuck in the sky, like broken umbrellas and balloons that escaped people's hands. Oh, what a beautiful poem. The wind will be hooked um, into the background, slightly darker, not sure about the color yet, to be continued. The flowers will be done with proddy, and we saw the plum one coming right along. Punch needle as well as hooked. Perfect, right? Perfect. The placement of the flowers will probably change as the thing gets hooked. Here are my most recent. Okay, so then I think that was amazing, amazing. And the Rhea rug also astonishing, absolutely astonishing. So, Karen, thank you so much. Those are super, super lovely. Oh, wait a minute. What's this? Did I miss? I think I missed because I think this is your. Yep, this is yours as well, Karen. More, you are another powerhouse. I can't believe how fast you work. Um, the Grinch is a Cushing pattern. So this is you recognize the Grinch, of course. This is 18 by 18. I'm amazed that Cushing has this pattern. I'm not questioning it in an evil way. I just know that Random House owns copyright to the Grinch, and I'm surprised just because I know that Random House, at least in my experience, is a force to be reckoned with. But absolutely beautiful pattern, 18 by 18. Love the Grinch at Christmas, right? You are a mean one, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5 foot pole. And I love the way that you handled that furry. What is that, Karen? Did you say it in here? All the collar and cuff and all of that? That is really fluffy. Is that like the chenille type yarn, like in a fluffy white? Mm. I did too, Kaz. I loved that. I'll look and see if Karen answers, but I'm curious to know what this white is. It's so pristine and perfect, isn't it? Andrea, this is a lot. We have a couple of pieces of yours to see. I am glad that you were brave for gallery night. Good for you, girl. Good for you. You must be brave, right? You must be brave. You said, I did my first rug in 2019, a Dion Fitzpatrick rug called Poppies on the Edge of Town on Hessian burlap, 6 by 12. And that is this rug. That is so, so, so pretty. Of course, I love Dion Fitzpatrick patterns. Great, great. I was going to say beginner patterns, but they're great for everybody. And I love the clouds, right? This is sort of signature, what I consider Canadian school. The use of poppies, the small kinds of colorful cottages overlooking a bay, the sort of islandy, hilly, islandy terrain in the background, and these roving style clouds. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then I looked at this piece. Well, I looked at the picture of you and I thought, look at you. I wish I could be right there with you, watching you work, having my eggnog right there. Um, this just looks like such a lot of fun putting this together. And this is just how you do it, baby, isn't it? You just get in and do it. Work on it. Draw it right onto the backing. Just do it. It's going to come out great. Don't agonize too much about composition. You can always take a Sharpie later and doctor it up, right? Getting it down and getting started, that is the thing. I love that photo and I love your piece. So this is the piece that I used for the thumbnail tonight. I absolutely loved this. You said I've just finished it. It's the largest one I've done so far, and it's my own design called Riverbed. Shapes representing the stones with water flowing around them, done on monk's cloth with wool and roving. This is also my first whipped edge. I do love this edge too. I'm not always one for a whipped edge, but this is such a soft kind of cameo pink. It is so subtle, such a whisper, such a little kiss of color around the edge. It is just beautiful. I absolutely love it. I'm going to show you the back too because you were kind enough to include a photo of the back. We love seeing the back. And you say, I've also included a photo of the back and also how I transfer my patterns. So that picture was how you transfer. You have a Pico, P-I-C-O projector. I only got it recently and I love it. Are you binge watching the videos? That makes me feel happy. Every time I know someone's binge watching the videos, I'm so happy that I took the time to make the videos, right? Makes me feel really good. Karen says the fluffy fur on the Grinch is fur that's sold by Cushing. Okay, so they have that fluffy fur. I will venture to say that when I'm at Joann's, like when I was doing the two cats, there were such crazy fluffy fluffs there that it was crazy. I used a gray one to do one of the cats, and I'll show you that on cocktail night this week. Um, Unless I have it handy on my phone, I might have it handy. Let me see if I can show you. But all of the materials also came, all of those real fluffy fluffs. You're probably not going to be able to see this overly well, but those are the two cats that I was working on. Let me see if I can bring them into focus. So one of them is like the tiger cat. I backed them at that point. I'll send you a picture of what they look like backed. And the one there is this thick, 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 thick chenille. And I sprinkled in a little bit of like apricot too because it's a little calico. But they certainly had other colors. They had black and white and things like that too. And I thought, ooh, it was just I needed that color. So many things that you can hook with, right? It's so exciting. Um, um, SF Stark says, I really love the colorway. Fresh, fun, seems timely too. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I'm in the wrong night. I'm so sorry about that. Um, Sharon says, I'm such a foodie. I thought this was a berry dessert. Well, it does have these candy colors to it. It does have the candy colors. I love that about it too. It reminds me a little bit like of a riverbed, but also a little bit of like Candyland or any of those games. A little bit like of a planet feel to it too. Certainly that really soft, colorful background, marble cake background, and those beautiful pastels does have a nice, bright candy feel to it. And all of the great pinks, right? It's delicious looking. You know those candies that they have at fancy candy stores? They look like rocks, like little stones or pebbles from walking along a beach. These are brighter colors, but it reminds me of that too. There's so many references here, right? Whatever you see, whatever your mind picks up is probably pleasing to your mind, and you should just stick with it, right? Absolutely beautiful. Andrea, you did such a beautiful job. This is the back of it. Um, and this is absolutely beautifully done. I love seeing the motion. I love seeing how it's done. It's very neat. It's very tidy. It is an absolutely stellar piece. You should be so proud. And I wish right back to you a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. And we will see each other in there, I'm sure. Lovely pieces, Andrea. I love them both. The chocolate pebbles. Oh, inside the candies. Yeah, those candies are like tooth breakers or crown breakers, I should say. Um, yeah, they're not my favorite candy, but they are one of the most beautiful candies, aren't they? After ribbon candy, of course. I love ribbon candy. I don't love eating ribbon candy. It reminds me of my grandmother, and of course, it reminds me of us. So this is by Kathy Glynn. This is absolutely a beautiful piece. Kathy, you attached two photos, one finished and one that you're just starting. So this is the one I think that you finished, and you're probably going to go around. This is the one that you finished. You're going to go around the edge and figure how you're going to finish it in terms of like the edging and all of that. But the piece itself is done, and you did a lovely, lovely, lovely job. There is so much that I love about this piece. The things I love most, I love the shape of the bird. I love the motion of the kind of antique black, which is like the lighter gray black, with the true black You're welcome, Andrea. With love. I love the two blacks together. I love the handling of the eye. I just love all of these stripies in the bird's body. I just do. It creates such a feeling for me. I'm looking at a poem, right? When I look at this, I love the black background and the white outlining. Seeing these leaves in such a neutral color is so surprising and so right. I love this piece so much more seeing these kinds of khaki drab colors on the leaves, the kinds of straw color, right, and the yellow. These are drab colors. Drab not meaning that they're not beautiful and electric, meaning that's the family of colors that it comes from, right? But I love they read as a neutral. And for me, that is just what I need in this piece. That is just what my eye wants to see. Those, even the flowers are done in a very controlled way with a kind of darker red and the rusty orange. So, so, so good. So good. Feels abstract. It feels like you're telling a story. It's making me think. When I looked at this, I went to the bookshelf and I searched for my book that's called Tigers in a Teacup. It's a book on haiku. And I searched for it and I brought it up to the bed last night and I fell asleep before I could open it. But I want to look at it again because this just made me feel like it was a poem. I just absolutely love it. This is a remarkable job, Kathy. It's beautiful. And this is the piece that you are about to start working on. Sharon, I also loved the chromatic neutrals. You cannot, I'm just going to flip back for a second. You cannot say enough about neutrals. I think we, in general, tend to not recognize that neutrals are in all color families, right? It's not just black, white, beige, tan. These are like green neutrals and sort of yellow neutrals, very sandy neutrals. You can get neutral blues, right? The stone grays are like neutrals, like the stony bluey grays are neutrals. A lot of shades of Wedgwood are very neutral. Neutral is something to think about often because when you've got a composition like this where you've got darks and lights, the brights in this case are operating as flowers. So you've got dark, light, dull, bright, and everything else is falling into a neutral. It is really artsy, right? If this was in big, bright, kind of jungle colors, it would still be a lovely piece. It would be less to my taste. This to me is really much more interesting. And I love your color choices. And this is the piece that you are about to embark upon. And I love this piece too. I love a good fantasy piece. I really do. This reminds me of lots of covers and little paperbacks we have. We have a lot of fantasy and sci-fi in our house, and I love this. Coming from a girl who was the only girl in the Dungeons and Dragons club growing up, like in the early 80s, man, that did nothing for me in terms of popularity in high school, but it was a lot of fun. I love to see fantasy stuff. And one of the things that we're bringing out at Ribbon Candy Hooking, one of Jacob's ideas for this year that I think is stellar, is bringing out, I don't know if you know the word cryptid yet, but not just every state, but I think I mentioned this in coffee time, but every country has a collection of monsters that historically some people maybe have believed in, maybe people still do in some cases, but cryptids are like monster type characters who are associated with a specific region, right? So being local is the thing. And there are so many of them out there, and they all have their own lore, and it's all interesting. So we're going to be putting out a series of a cryptid every month from a different region. So that's going to be fun to watch. Very different than this, but I do love a good dragon, and I cannot wait to see the way that this hooks up. Looking at your bird piece and then looking at this, I'm thinking very different because the bird was much more of a primitive composition. This is so sci-fi. I can't wait to see what you do. Kathy, keep us updated. Candace, I had this in the show for last Saturday, right? Like our kind of holiday show. But I only flipped through it and I wanted to come back to it because it's an exceptional piece. Um, you said I was debating whether to send this or not. It is fantastic. I like it, but it's only my second rug, so I know it's not perfect. I'm glad it's not perfect. Things are so boring when they are perfect. it looks perfect. It's absolutely beautiful. Only you know of its imperfections, if they are even there. I would call them distinguishing character marks. I would call them beauty marks and little freckles. Um, of course, I want to use it. It's a Kelly Smith pattern. I love Kelly Smith. I love her patterns. And you mounted this, mounted it on canvas. Fantastic. So it's nice and safe and wrapped around something and ready to hang up on the wall. You can just put it right on top of the canvas, right? So it has a little bit of extra support. And you dyed the yellow. Fantastic. Your first time dyeing wool. Good for you. Good for you. You did such a great job on this. It is just lovely. And I hope that you're enjoying it there on its easel. That's just where it belongs. It is a beautiful piece. We talked a little bit about the wise men and the gifts of the Magi last Saturday, and that's why this came up. But I just wanted to linger on it for another minute because it's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Melanie, this is another beautiful piece. I saw this on Facebook. I fell in love with this. You wrote, Deanna, I just finished this and I thought it might go well into the Christmas gallery night. Absolutely. The pattern is from Lisanne Miller at Cushing. It's called Jolly Holly 16 by 16 on monk's cloth. I used 4-ply synthetic yarn and a number 13 Oxford punch. So the number 13 Oxford punch is always a fine, right? It doesn't come in a regular. I'm going to make it into a pillow. That makes perfect sense to me, and God, is it pretty. Also, I have a bit of that linen burlap I was telling you about, and I would like to send you a sample. Please, Melanie, I'll send it to you. Absolutely. Please send that. I'm so curious. Um, I looked on the your website, but oh, I will send it to you. No problem. You saw my shocking Facebook photo. I used, if you're friends with me, regular friends with me on Facebook, we went to some kind of Christmas event and they had the cutout face things. And one of them is, you know what the movie poster looks like for Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation, where he's like in the Santa suit and he's kind of in the sky and oh, there's lights all around him and he's like, and it's like he's like almost like being, the scene where it's joy to the world and the lights don't go on in the house. And then it's almost like zzz, and he shocks himself. He's shocking himself. Anyway, I stuck my face through the hole and I did like I was getting shocked too. That's my profile picture right now. It'll be up there for a couple more days. It's not a flattering picture, but I thought it was so funny. Melanie, I absolutely love this piece. And what do I love about this piece the most? I love your hooking. I have to say, I feel like I recognize your hooking. You do so much with shading and color changing that is so unexpected. And you really have a knack for putting colors next to each other. Because for me, if I were looking at these greens, I don't know if I would instinctively go perfect, but they are beyond perfect together. They are beyond perfect. And what I really love about this piece are the color shifts in the holly leaves, but the sameness of the berries in the background. So while this is like a scatter print, right? This is a random print. Um, while this is like a multiple, right? Because it's all leaves and berries, it has so much variety because of the way that the leaves are hooked. I love how you stay true to the sharp little points on the edges of the leaves. That makes a big deal to the composition. That really reads as a Christmas piece. And I love that you didn't go for the low hanging fruit and just do Christmas green. I love that you went for some really different colors. It's like what Jacob was saying the other day about when you think about Christmas colors, you I think of red, I think of Christmas red and Christmas green. And sometimes if I've been watching like Audrey Hepburn movies, I think let's add some pink to that. But other people tend to think of more mellow Christmas colors. This is more toward that palette of like off center green. The red is a true red, but your greens are off center and the one color is heading a little bit toward the gold. And those are those kinds of very traditional, primitive, offbeat Christmas color palette. And it's not the one that I ever think of. So I like having these conversations and reminding myself there's a lot of things you can do at Christmas. Maybe you like the Delft blue palette. You just like blue, 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 and more blue. Maybe you like this kind of color palette, which is more of an antique Christmas palette. I absolutely love it. I'm very happy to be reminded of it. And Melanie, this is just a beautiful, beautiful piece. And SF Stark says, agree. Things are perfectly imperfect when they are hand done. Absolutely. Because if we wanted stuff from Home Goods, we'd go over to Home Goods and get it, wouldn't we? Um, we love our homemade stuff. I'm just going to transform this because it is sideways. There we go. This is another amazing piece, Kathleen Lynch, Small Frost Oriental and Paisley. Um, Both are Cushing. Oh, I hope I have both. I think I do. I hope I have both. Both are Cushing patterns. Oh, I know I have both. I know I have both. Let's look at this one first. Frost Oriental. This little Frost Oriental, right? So this one comes in different sizes and scales. Um, Melanie. This is so beautiful. I love all the frost patterns, of course. I love the frost orientals because to me, and of course, Frost is doing these in like the 1870s, 1880s. This one dates to the 19th century. Now we know what we because of Dover books and a thousand other reasons, we know what Oriental designs look like and Eastern designs. And if we look at them often, some of us can say, well, this is from this specific country. We don't even have to say Oriental anymore, which we probably shouldn't. And we don't have to even say like, a region. We can really pinpoint where certain designs are from. In Frost's time, not at all. So anything that looked remotely exotic had that flavor of being, very international, very sort of avant-garde looking, very exotic. And his Orientals patterns look like that. And what I like about them is that we do not see in them traditional, and I'm saying Oriental with my fingers making parentheses, designs because they really aren't. They are imagined sort of Oriental designs, not necessarily taken from a firsthand source. That's what I like about them. There is whimsy here that if you go to an Oriental carpet store today, you won't probably find hooked rugs. You'll find all kinds of tufted rugs, beautiful, original, old, and new, but you probably won't see these designs because they are not truly Oriental designs. And I think that is just amazing. I'm wondering how to hook Killam rugs. Sharon, they are woven rugs. So you could hook them. You could hook them. Um, you could just peel the designs right off of many of them. Antique designs, books of designs. You could even create hybrids. Like this little Frost Oriental always to me looks like a hybrid. Again, that adds to the whimsy for me. I absolutely love it. Kathleen, I love your colors. They're so warm and beautiful. I love the warm browns and reds. I love the neutral blacks, a little bit of whites, and then you've got that warm gold in there and that very surprising sky blue. I have never seen this palette before, or at least I don't remember. This I will always remember. This is so unique. It is so whimsical. It is so lovely. It has such a flavor of the time. It is such an homage to Frost, Edward Sands Frost. I just love this rug. I'm so glad that you sent it in. It is such a charmer. It is such a little gem. And it's not that little at 27 by 44 and a half. That is a formidable size. Andrea says, imagine the Oriental near an open fire, so cozy. Oh, isn't that so true? Isn't that so true? When you see rugs of this design and this sort of color palette, this warmth near the fire, it is just, it's so atmospheric. You just reminded me of that Ed Sheeran and Elton John song. Do 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 do. It's a new one. Fill a glass and maybe come and sing with. I still can't sing. I'm sorry. My voice is not there anymore. But you know the song I mean, and it's a really good Christmas song. I hope you know it. Love that Oriental. That is just beautiful. Let's look at the second one. The second one I liked even more, and I think this one is a gift for your daughter, right? Let me see. Yep, the paisley is your daughter's Christmas present. Needs a final steaming in a big red bow. So, this is so pretty. This is another Cushing pattern. This is a paisley. I absolutely love this. I'm surprised. When I saw this, I thought, I bet this is an original design. I love these big fat paisleys. These are some humorous paisleys. This is a really beautiful, more contemporary design. Just lovely. I can see these colors really charming your daughter. They would charm me. I just love the sort of tomatoey reds. It might be that my monitor's a little bit off, but for me it's reading as like a salmony to a tomato soup red with lots of purples, lots of blues, some beautiful sort of stone colored blues and turquoise. a little bit of sort of iris and violet, Parma violet kind of a color, some mixed textures inside the paisleys. I mean, really. Oh, Sharon says of the last rug reminds you of the American Southwest. Absolutely. Absolutely, it also does. And I think it probably does because it's not really based on an Oriental rug. So, in just using, um, um, how have I been sick for so long, honestly? Just in using motifs that seem, for lack of a better word, and again, we're talking about the 19th century, ethnic. I think at that time, a lot of this kind of design all kind of fell into the same headspace, right? Everything was kind of foreign, different, and ethnic. And there is a lot of confusion historically in designing of all sorts, including rugs, between things that indeed come from the actual East, like Eastern part of the world, as opposed to are produced by indigenous people in North America, South America, Canada, right? All of these designs have a lot of potential for overlap and confusion. And as time goes on, we become more savvy, computer and learning and knowing, having more sources to look at. We become sort of more capable of separating the different motifs. But the Sans Frost rug is a great example of what was considered an Oriental rug at that time, and done in the way that Kathleen did it. It was just over the top, as is this one, Kathleen. It's just over the top. You've got to love big fat paisleys. And then the secondary motif, which is kind of this scrolling flower, looks a little bit like a bear paw. It has that Jacobean flavor as well. I absolutely love it. I think this is going to be all of the Christmas. Can you turn the heat down in here? I'm going to expire. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Kathleen. Really lovely. Beverly, you always work on such great pieces. I love seeing all of the stuff you're working on. I know this is an original design because you always do the most fantastic original designs. You are so adept at braiding and doing all these other forms of rug making as well. I absolutely love the snowman holding the little birdhouse. What a welcoming, happy, jolly kind of character. I'm sure the birds are going to come and land right there and find a wonderful place to be. I love your braiding around the edge that adds so much to this piece. My personally favorite part of this rug is your sky. Your sky is not like any sky I've ever seen before. I looked at it, I thought it's a little Matisse, it's a little Van Gogh, it's all Beverly. It is fantastic. I mean, just look at it. It's doodle driven, right? It's got a doodle quality to it. It is so charming. I like the lights and the darks. I love the lights and the darks. Sometimes I draw stuff on cocktail napkins and things like that, and they look like doodles, and I think this isn't going to translate into a rug. This makes me second guess every time I've thrown away a cocktail napkin because I'm thinking using doodle type sketches, you can use the darks and you can use the lights, and even blending them into a piece that has a quite light background like this, those darks are doing a lot for this piece. I would think in my mind, being a ding dong, that I would be worried that the darks would be too dark and confusing. No. For me, that's my favorite part of this piece. I love the character. I love the story. I love the finish. But I love that sky. For myself, I love that sky. You did a wonder. I'm sorry, I'm sniffling. You did a wonderful job, and I love to see all your holiday pieces. I'm just going to have a quick little sip here because I'm struggling. Absolutely beautiful, Beverly. Absolutely beautiful. Kelly Smith, Kelly, you are such a great designer. You are so, so good. You sent a couple beautiful Christmas pieces. We just saw the Magi piece, which is yours as well. You always write nice notes to me too. Hope this finds you well. Christmas is crazy, and hopefully you'll have some down days and some time to refresh. Be blessed. Thank you so much, my love. Same to you. And I wish you exactly the same, and I hope there are some quiet times too for both of us. Um, these you said these were so fun to do. I bet they were because I mean this is extraordinary. I mean this is just an extraordinary piece. I love your use of green in this piece. I don't expect to see it. The sack is green. I'm seeing a lot of that kind of warm green. I really like it. I love the simpleness of your faces. Like this Santa face, I always lean toward anonymous because I'm not that good at faces at all. You do it, this is your signature way, and it is fantastic. I love the simpleness of the face of the animals as well as the Santa. And I really love the background, right? This is done, it looks like dit dots, but it's done with the kind of peppermint technique, like the Pearl McGowan school of hooking, where you've got your two colors going at once. And every other one is coming up a different loop color, like a candy stripe, right? Like a peppermint. This is something I am going to do a video showing you how to do this so that this is more accessible to everybody and not just. I know a lot of people who are certified know this technique, but most people who are not don't. And I think it's worth sharing because everybody should have all the wonderful tools in their basket to do their best work and to feel the best about themselves and their work. I love, I love, I love this piece and the Magi. So I had to show this. Candace, we showed your version. This is Kelly's own version of the Magi. It's absolutely beautiful. It is a lovely style, really lovely style. And in showing Kelly's own version of the Magi, Robin, I had to show yours, right? I showed this one last week as well, but there was no way I was leaving it out since we are on the subject of Magi's and wise men. I had to show this one as well. So this is Robin's version. Absolutely beautiful pattern. It has a bit of that feel of the Klimt, the kiss, right? I think the bracketing off of the figures and the fall on your knees, right, of the one character, fall on your knees. That sounded way more like a march than I meant. But I just love the composition. It also reminds me a little bit, this version, Robin, reminds me a little bit of like a Russian lacquer. Do you know what I mean? Those little boxes and pins. They often have this kind of outline to them, a bit of a cameo quality to them that really enhances the look and gives you the opportunity to drop in a background color, which in this case is indigo, which I think is brilliant, that sets off everything else. It's a great device. It's a great pattern. Absolutely love it. Linda Hutnick. This is an absolutely precious piece. This is so precious. You wrote, Hi Deanna, found a gnome gift bag and thought it would make a cute rug. I transferred the pattern to monk's cloth. It's approximately 20 by 20. Tried different products for the beards, wool strips, yarn, roving, but finally decided upon faux fur. The plan is to whip the edges. Hopefully we'll be ready in a day or two. Wishing everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year. Same to you. I absolutely love this piece. So I think what must be happening here to get these very lush beards. I think I'm sorry, what Linda means is that she must have appliqued or attached the beards because they wouldn't come out hooked like this, right? You could hook with very long hair, yarn or chenille or whatever, but these are applied for sure because you can tell they're not broken up into loop shapes, and we have that luxurious faux fur hanging down like that. This gives me such a great idea because for a while I was hoarding, really hoarding, um, vintage faux fur in all different colors. I was making a lot of um, games for the kids for their birthday parties, like carnival style games. And I was using faux fur for like puppets and characters and things like that. So I stockpiled a huge amount of faux fur. And now I'm thinking, I know where it is. It's in a Tupperware thing with the lid on because I don't know how this kind of stuff lasts. It gets matted up pretty easily. I'm thinking maybe I want to bust it out and do some stuff like this, like use it in my hooked rug pieces because I don't want to cut it up because it's multicolored. And just looking at the way this looks, looking at Linda's gnomes, it's so beautiful to see a break from the hooking and to get these like expanses of this soft fur, this soft faux fur. It's absolutely beautiful. Are the gnomes nose? Kaz is saying, are the gnomes' noses higher than the rest of the hooking? Oh, interesting. Oh, Kaz, that's interesting. They do look like they're sticking out a bit. Oh, I wonder. I'm not sure if Linda's on tonight. I wonder if they are. Linda, I think you are on. I'm wondering if you hooked them higher, like Waldeboro, and didn't cut them. Sorry for the sniffles. That's really interesting. Just sewn onto monk's cloth. You just sewed the beards, but Linda, what about those noses? They're not like trapunto, are they? I'm wondering if they are raised and if you Waldeborowed them a little bit higher. No, they aren't higher. Well, they just look higher. Your colors are great. They really do look three-dimensional. They really do. They are so cute. I'm going to have to show this to the kids because the kids love gnomes. They're going to love looking at this piece. That is so whimsical, Linda. That is so sweet. Really, really well done. I absolutely love this piece. Really well done. And Kaz, you sent some great pieces too. My voice is breaking now. We're going to make it though. I feel fine. I really do. It's just I sound like a bag of whatever. Kaz, you said, here is my journey to punch needle rugs. Number one is sunflower pillow. Your tapestry teacher, Laura Burlage of Arundel Tapestry Studio of Hayward, Hayward, Wisconsin, was offering a Zoom Oxford Punch number 14 5 punching class. The sunflower was her design and kit. It was such a fun project and easy on my hand. I made it into a pillow with fringes. Ooh, yeah, you did. That looks like wool, doesn't it? You've got all kinds of wool coming out from behind. That looks really, really, really beautiful. This is a lovely, lovely piece. And you can, if you have extra wool to do fringe like this, that's great. But if you don't have a lot of extra wool to use, I've seen a lot of people do this, sorry, same technique with fleece, right? Like synthetic fleece from the craft store. That's another material you can use. Denim, all different colors of denim. I mean, how cool would that be? All different colors of denim and finishes and washes. There's so many nice things that you can do with fringe. Kaz, this piece is beautiful. You did a lovely punching job. And I think the fringe is a great inspiration. I love it all the more for having that great fringe trim to it. That is just stunning. Speaking of stunning, you said I took a Zoom class from Robin Whitford of Hooking Outside the Lines. This is a reversible punching project using a size 10 Oxford needle. This is Robin's design and kit. It is not two pieces of punching put together. You punch both sides simultaneously. It was fun. You punch both sides simultaneously. It was fun. So I'm confused, Kaz. So you're just punching it regular punch from behind, right? And then are you clipping? We're going to look at this in more detail. Oh, I'm so sorry. You were Oh my God, Kaz, I'm so sorry. With that, no. No, Kaz, were you talking about this one for the Robin Whitford hooking outside the lines? I just want to be sure. The sculptured. Am I missing one? I feel like I might be missing one. Um, because then I have the sculptured deer. I don't want to screw this up. I think you're reading the wrong notes. Okay. I think so too, Kaz. This is the wrong image. So, Kaz, I might have screwed up. I had the sunflower and then I had the two images of the deers. Let me show you those. I hope I didn't screw this up. Hold on, let me pull back here. I had this image and I have this image. Those are the only images I have. I might be missing images because I was wondering with this. These are obviously two separate images. I'm thinking this is front and back. And I'm thinking what you did. No, this is the wrong image. Okay. Kaz, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure how I'm screwing it up, but I know that I am screwing it up. Am I missing an image, Kaz? And so this is the sculptured deer. So I think I'm missing the image. I think I'm missing the image for Robin Whitford hooking outside the lines. I am so sorry about that, Kaz. Kaz, if you have that image right now and you can just email it to me, Facebook it to me, I can hold it up and show that one. If you have it now, but if it's a push, don't do it. I can always show it on next week for coffee time. I am so sorry about that. I think you're missing the Christmas ornament. I think I'm missing the Christmas ornament too. If you have an image, send it. Otherwise, I'm going to come back to that. So I'm so sorry about that. What we were looking at and what we will continue looking at is this sculptured deer. And you wrote, oh, I'm so sorry. You wrote, I took a Zoom class from Simone Voivodin, and we talked to her, and she was live with us when her book came out. She is lovely. Her Punch Needle book. of Red Maple Ruggery and the author of Master the Art of Punch Needle and Rug Hooking. That was a great book, and we did a coffee time episode on that, and she was live and she was fantastic. This was a kit by Simone. We used number 8, number 13, and thank you, Kaz, and number 14 Oxford punch needles. I'm not done yet, and I have to fix the nose of the deer. It looks like a donkey nose. Well, that is not true, but now I'm looking at it, but no, I don't feel that that's true. I love it, but you have to make it exactly the way that you like it, right? That's the way it always has to be. Good, I've got the ornaments. I'm going to show those in just a minute. So let me see. I'm not done with those yet. It was challenging to sculpt with a lot of snipping, but it was fun. I've learned a lot. The top is the back of the piece. Right now, the back looks better than the front. Well, that does always happen, doesn't it? That's not you. That's not anything to do with you. That's just the way that it can be. I love the way this looks. The back does look neater, and that's why a lot of people prefer the back. But I prefer the front. I mean, I just love seeing all of those textures. It looks so tactile to me. I love the variation in the green behind it, too. And I love the way that his little chest, because you can see how you punched it, but his little chest came out looking like a heart, like his little heart is bursting. I mean, that is so charming to me. And I know when you go around the antlers, because you have them clipped high, as soon as you go around those antlers, they're going to look all tidy, right? All perfect and tidy. So we're gonna want to look at this in the next gallery night or at coffee time. We're definitely going to want to see it because it is going to be remarkable how tidied up the antlers are going to look when you finish hooking behind them. It is going to be, it already is glorious, but it is going to be absolutely very different looking. And I know we can picture it already, but it's going to be fun to see it together. So while I screwed up talking about the ornaments, right, I was shooting my mouth off about the Robin Whitford slide. So Kaz just sent it to me here. Let me share it here. I'm so sorry about that, Kaz. Let me come in closer. There we go. And I'm going to pull out. So these are the ornaments from that class. The Robin Whitford hooking outside the lines, the reversible punching using a size 10. And it was part of a kit. And there's that one, and then there's this one. Oh, I like how you whipped the two different colors around the edge. Oh, and you made a tassel. Oh, I like that too. Oh, I really like that. I like your little sort of cranberry colored beads on the tree. That's real pretty. Oh, I didn't realize that one had the same whipping and the same tassel. I got so nervous when I screwed it up. I blanked out for a minute. That is so pretty, Kaz. That is so pretty. Thank you. That all makes sense now. Oh, I love those ornaments. That was two different photos. That wasn't the same tree. Those are like split in the middle. Two different photos. So pretty. Really so pretty. And I love the sculptured deer. I cannot wait to see how that shakes out. It's already looking amazing. So let me come down here and oh my word, this is so, so, so pretty. Sherry Young sent this. Um, I think Sherry Young sent this. I might have peeled this off. I peeled this off the Facebook page. Um, I had to. It was so cute. Oh, Carol, good to see you. Good to see you. I know you're busy this time of year. The ornament. Okay, Kaz, so okay. So the ornament, so this like blows my mind. The ornament is one piece but two-sided. And you punched it at the same time? That's incredible. How did you do that? I mean, that's incredible. Um, that's incredible because they are completely different. One is the star, and then you see the split in the photo, and the next one is the tree. That is, I guess that's why it was a class, right? Because there is some magic there. Kaz, those are remarkable. You are so good at learning. Like you love new techniques and new things. I just love you. I just love you. Um, so this piece I peeled off our Facebook page. I thought it was just so charming. Sherry Young, and again, our Facebook page, Rug Cooking Punch Needle Club. She says, almost done. Binding is not my favorite, but I'm motivated to get it done before the weekend. And I noticed, I love this Santa. And look at the size of this piece too. I noticed somebody asked her where the design came from, and it was a collaboration between Sherry, herself, and her husband. They worked on this together. This is a large piece. Don't you just love the very casual quality of this Santa? And I love seeing his shoes. Right? It's kind of funny. You're seeing like a glimpse of him that we normally don't see with the great big robes or the pants. We're seeing kind of like shoe boots with like a little bit of trim above. I'm seeing his ankles, and I guess I'm not used to seeing his ankles, and I love seeing his ankles. Look at the expression on the face, and look at the way the background is hooked. Look at that nice belt and the directional hooking on the skirt of the Santa. Saw the Santa in the group. Yeah, this is an extraordinary piece. It's so well done. I'm just gonna see. Pardon the sniffling. Still, I'm just gonna see if I can. Yeah, let me pull him up a little bit, make him a little bit larger. Look at that expression in that face. Isn't that extraordinary? Look at the way the hand is done as well. Isn't that something? Mm, absolutely beautiful. I love that piece. I want to flip through some other pieces I found real quick on our Facebook page. This was I want to show you these two images. They're not Christmas images, but I really like them. Chantal Nulnul's Zeva, which translates as Chantal. Null is like 00. Zeva is 7 in French. Sorry, in Dutch. In Dutch. Um, so that's her kind of Facebook name, and she did this really lovely piece. I thought I had two of hers, but maybe I didn't. I just love the mid-century cats. I like the different heights of the punching, and I thought this really, um, she did, Kaz. The eyes were great on that Santa. Um, the different heights, so this is what the different needles are good for. And I just want to remind you that if you are using traditional punches, not miniature punches or Russian punches, if you're using traditional punches, you can use those O rings from the hardware store. They're rubber rings, washers, and put them on the tip of your needle to change the size of the needle. Because if you're buying a lot of $40 needles, that's not in everybody's budget. You can get these different heights by putting a ring washer. It is called an O-ring, little tiny black rubber circle right over the shaft of the needle, right? And I have at least one video on this um, on the YouTube channel. So that is worth checking out to give you that variety. Shannon Carter posted this in our Facebook group from the Rug Exchange. So she received, oh my God, did I seriously not write? I seriously didn't. I'm going to have to come back to this one during coffee time. I'm so sorry. I wrote Shannon's name, and I'm a mess. I forgot to write who it came from. This is an extraordinary rug from the Rug Exchange. Let's do to be continued on that because I feel bad. I don't have all the information. Amber, you posted this lovely wreath, and you said, has anyone else been making these pine cones from the Rug Hooking Magazine article? And you wrote, my old wreath needed a little life breathed back into it this year. So you already had the wreath, and you just added the pine cones. So let's look at how that was done. Rug Hooking Magazine did have an article on making these pine cones, and Amber showing us her process of making them, and they came out great. You know what they look like? Pine cones, like the best pine cones ever. So talk about breathing new life into a wreath, right? I mean, how great is that? I didn't do them myself, and I love thinking about who might have been working on the. What's so warm in here? On the pine cones. Those were beautiful. I absolutely love the way they came out. And Sharon says, yes, I discovered the rubber O rings. They also sell them on Amazon in mix boxes. So if you're not sure what size you're supposed to get, you could try them that way. And if they don't fit, you can return them because it's Amazon. However you feel about Amazon, that is one of the great perks because they come in different sizes. And Home Depot doesn't always have every size. The smaller hardware stores usually have more choices of sizes, and they're willing to help you too. So that's always fun. Andrea says, I've only got the 13, 14 punches. I want to get the 10 and add the wash. Yeah, because you're already well, you've got the tall ones. No, you've got the short ones, right? The 13 is the short. The It's always the opposite than what I would think. The smaller numbers like the 8 and the 10 um, are the taller ones. So yeah, those are the ones you would add the washers to, but just get one, right? That's all you need, and then stack up those washers, and you have infinite variety, which is a lot of fun. So I absolutely love everything we saw tonight in our gallery episode. Thank you to everybody who sent in. Let me just harken back to, I just want to look at these real quick before I log off because it will be Christmas before I see you again. I want to just go back to this um, current issue of Atha as we were looking at it because I breezed over this. I ran out of time to look at this Mr. Christmas article that is so charming in the current issue of Atha magazine by my friend Colleen Tiefenthal of Northeast Maryland. So she's Atha region number 3. And I just, oops, sorry, I wanted to show you some of the charming pieces that came out of this article, including this one, Mr. Christmas, designed and hooked by Colleen herself, hooked in number 6 cut wool strips, embroidered proddy leaves, vintage jewelry, bells, and roving. It's framed. Colleen created Mr. Christmas for her son who collects nutcrackers. I also collect nutcrackers, so I really love this piece. I absolutely loved this piece, and I did not want to miss sharing some of the finished pieces in this Mr. Christmas article because some of my best buddies in rug hooking have made these pieces. So this is another by Colleen herself. This is a 3D adaptation of Mr. Christmas into the Mouse King, hooked again in number 6 wool strips embellished with jewelry, glass beads, roving, stuffed and weighted, right? Weighted in the bottom. Also created for her son who collects the nutcrackers. So charming. Oops, wait a minute. Let me turn this over. I don't know why this program's doing this to me lately, but we will overcome, right? We will make it happen. So this is another absolute beauty. Cindy Hugo. And Cindy came when we did, a lot of these buddies came from Maryland, Delaware, when we did our Florence Griswold house, that day trip. I guess it was in the spring. So Cindy did this, and we got to spend some time after and eat at the tavern in Essex. And oh, we had so much fun that day. This is a needle punched Mr. Christmas with a roving beard and a jewelry accent made into a 3D soft sculpture. Absolutely love Cindy, love this piece. Another beautiful nutcracker. And this piece I love from my friend Dee Kelleher, one of my great buddies also. Mr. Christmas pattern adapted to Mrs. Christmas Nutcracker, rug hooked and embellished with buttons and metallic fibers and boot tassels at the bottom. So sweet. And I used this one for the thumbnail the other day. Our buddy Sharon Fox, Mr. Christmas, rug hooked with number 2, number 3, 4, 6, and 7 cuts, includes some proddy, Waldoboro, bead stitch and crochet techniques, and specialty fibers made into a pillow. I absolutely love this piece. I've got something that you might love too. Here. Okay, hold on. You ready? You ready for something coot? Da 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 da! Look who it is. He needs a haircut. This is Buttons. This is Buttons the dog. This is the Christmas Yorkie. Does he want a Pringle? So he stays for a minute. Hey, listen, what a great episode of. It's not going to be good for his breath or his diet, is it? But Pringles are so good. If we gave him 2, he could do the duck bill, right? There we go. He's such a pig. There he goes. Hey, everything that came in tonight was so lovely. You all did such beautiful work. I loved everything that we looked at. It was super. Oh, sorry. Yeah, SF Stark said, cheers for all for a warm, cozy, and festive weekend. Absolutely. I loved seeing all of the pieces tonight. Lots of festive pieces, lots of all kinds of pieces, beautiful techniques, so thoughtful, so much talent in one episode. You all did such beautiful work. You can start sending me your gallery stuff for next month. Go ahead and send it now. Why not? I put a star next to it. I won't forget. Um, I'm trying to project forward to when our next. I didn't think of this and I should have, and it's late, so I'm sorry to hold you up. But Christmas falls on. Okay, Christmas falls on Sunday. Um, so I'll run an episode on Monday. Will I run an episode on Monday? I probably won't. Now that I'm thinking of it, I'm at my mother's house. I probably won't. I'm sorry to say because I think we're going to be traveling back. So I will be with you on Wednesday. Don't forget that Kirsten does the virtual hook in on Tuesday. You're all welcome to join in person and hook in. I will be with you Wednesday. And then I will be with you. Reminder, I'll be running a class. I'll be with you next Friday as well for New Year's Eve Eve. And then I'll be with you again on New Year's Eve Day for our class in creating your own story rug just your way. So I will not see you on Monday. I'm sorry about that, but I will see you on Wednesday. And I do want to also echo the sentiment, if you are celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope that you enjoy yourselves immensely and that it is the cheeriest, the merriest, the best yet, the most magical. I will try to do some posting in the meantime, show you some projects I'm working on. I might come to you live in the Facebook group, but I will certainly be thinking about you. And at the risk of choking up, we have had such a great year together. We'll talk about this when we get closer to New Year's Eve. But from my heart to yours, Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a magical time. And we will be back together soon.